everybody, and welcome back to the War Room, part of the Clonestar podcast. I am your host, Shore Hurley, and this week we are delighted to be joined by somebody that you might recognize from Pacific Rim, even though it is a couple of years old now, and that is aging the podcast immediately. Why the Last Man, as well as The Handmaid's Tale. But mainly, we would know her as being Lieutenant Naya on Season 5 of Star Trek Discovery. Our guest this week is the wonderful Victoria Marie Sawal. Victoria, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm sad that all of our conversations won't be in this.
I
Y'all are missing out
know.
on some gems.
And for everyone watching and listening, we've been talking for the last 51 minutes about ghost stories, near-death experiences, video games, you name it. And none of you will ever be able to experience it because that's a conversation just between Victoria and myself.
That's right.
So, Victoria, taking it all the way back to the start, where does your story begin? Like, did you grow up in a creative household, or what was it that kind of fired off the creative spark within you?
Yeah, I grew up in a very creative household. So my father was an actor and singer in the Philippines professionally for a few years before my siblings were born. And my mother grew up doing theater and dance professionally in the Philippines as well before moving here to Canada. And they raised me and my three siblings, who are all older than me, to be trained in music, different instruments. They also put us in the church plays, as you do with children. I think that would be my first real experience in the arts, is playing like an angel in a Christmas play that gave a teddy bear to Jesus. Good stuff.
Wait a second. I don't remember that being in the Bible about Jesus getting a teddy bear at any
May
point.
not be it may not be biblically, accurate. May not be canon, but it was good stuff, if you ask me.
So are you the youngest in the family then?
Yeah, I am the
Oh.
youngest of four children.
Ah, sure, you're the exact same as me then. So would you fully
Oh,
agree that the youngest always gets the roughest end of the stick then in that situation?
my siblings will battle me till the day I die for this. I agree. I fully agree that the youngest always gets the short end of the stick, and they think that we're the spoiled ones, which
Oh
is
yeah.
ridiculous.
Oh God, no, not at all.
Ridiculous.
And for anyone who's not the youngest child, get stuffed. That is absolutely accurate. The youngest child always gets the roughest end of the stick. So Victoria, how come your parents were creative? Now I'm actually going even further back. Did they grow up in creative households, or like has there always been a creative element in the family?
I don't believe that they grew up in any like a super creative household for either of them in the Philippines. I believe that they just found it on their own. They're all really talented. I mean, it's one of those stereotypes that Filipinos will consistently face in their life, that we all sing, we all dance, we all play guitar, and we're all good at basketball. Um, it's not 100% true. My parents are just, out of their siblings, the most artistic, and just found it as a way to provide for their families, I suppose. But yeah, I don't think my grandparents were specifically creatives at all.
And what kind of music did your dad used to sing?
Oh, he sang a lot of, like, do you know Send in the Clowns?
I do indeed,
That's
yeah.
that was his winning song for a competition that he was in. So power ballads, things like that, some classic rock songs as well. He still sings to this day.
Oh, really? Like, does he kind
Yeah.
of like where does he kind of sing?
So our family home in the basement, he's kind of renovated it into a nightclub full with like neon bar signs and lighting and fog machines and like two screens for karaoke. And whenever we are over to his house, to their house, we will sing karaoke downstairs, and he will bless us with a performance.
Oh, hang on a second now, Victoria. You've got to answer this question. You have to be honest as well, right? I'm only gonna take your first answer to this question. What is your karaoke go-to song?
If I Ain't Got You by Alicia Keys. I was holding my breath. I was waiting. I feel like that's the one I was raised on.
How
Yeah.
like how well can you sing it? Like, can you nail every note, or is it kind of more a case of you think you nail every note, but if you actually stepped outside, you'd be there going, "Oh dear God, this is actually an offense to my
No,
ears."
this is actually one of those things that I grew up feeling very like proud of, was the fact that everyone in my family can sing. I'm
Hmm.
talking like we've done a family album before for my parents' 25th anniversary. We made like a CD, and all of us had different covers on it. It was amazing.
Oh
Yeah,
my! So
yeah.
what songs?
I'm not ashamed.
What songs did you? Obviously, you covered that Alicia Keys song, right?
Not for the wedding anniversary. I believe I did a Shania Twain song, "From This Moment."
Yeah.
"From This Moment" by Shania Twain was the song that would be on that album.
Oh my
But
word!
that this is the reason we can never have people over to sing karaoke. They get very intimidated. I don't know why.
Do you get very competitive about who's the kind of best singer in the family and things like that?
No, no, we can't do that. There's too many of us. It'll be a fight in a pit to do that. I still sing as part of my process. I sing all the time. I'm in a band. My brother is also a really wonderful singer, my eldest brother,
Mhm.
and he's like performing at different gigs throughout the year. So
Wow.
I don't think there's a best singer. Different genres.
So what you're saying is, if I ever come over to Canada, I'm 100% getting invited over to karaoke night at the house. Yes. Oh, fantastic.
That's
I'm
right. Get your set list ready. And if you've ever heard of Filipino Magic Sing, it's a karaoke kind of system. We can change the pitch, the tempo, however you'd like to perform these songs, we will facilitate.
Look, I'm 100% going to tell you it's going to be Believe by Cher. That is what I'm going to
Ooh,
sing. Absolutely 100 million percent. Yes.
okay.
A friend of mine, we were driving up to Dublin a couple of years ago, and that came on the radio, and we were singing along to it. And I suddenly spotted out of the corner of my eye there was a car with two girls in it who were singing along at the same time. So I
That's the
slowed
best
down.
feeling.
Yeah, because they looked over and realized we were singing along to it as well. So they stopped and looked over at the two mid-30-year-old men shouting, do you believe in, oh Jesus, I can't even get the lyrics right. Do you
To
believe in
believe
life,
in.
life after love?
I
Oh, dear
love how
God.
this has become a fill in the blanks game. I like those. You got to sing it. You got to really sing it though. One more
Oh no,
time.
no way. I was going to get you to sing. So if you're not willing to sing on, actually no way to sing, you probably would be willing to sing on camera. No, I can't. I'd have to do William Shatner's spoken word version of Cher's Believe in that
Ooh.
situation.
Oh, the William Shatner version. I feel like that would do really well in like a poetry slam, you know?
So obviously then that means all of your family are creative then in that kind of situation. So as you were growing up then after your Oscar-winning performances in the school plays and things like that and giving over a teddy bear to Jesus, what was driving you at that point? Did you kind of say, I want to be a musician, I want to be a singer, I want to be an actor? What was your thinking process as you were kind of getting older?
I I'm so sad, Mike, you're not here. I truly wanted to do more musical theater growing up. I was in love with Rent growing up and wanted to play Mimi so badly, which is cool because I did get to meet certain really cool people from Rent. But yeah, no, I wanted to do musical theater. For some reason, it didn't really pan out. I moved downtown in Toronto at quite a young age, at 17, to take care of my grandmother after my grandfather passed. I was kind
Hmm.
of taking an in-between year. And I didn't end up pursuing any post-secondary education apart from acting workshops and different arts and culture workshops.
Hmm.
But I wanted to be a musical theater person. I wanted to be on Broadway. I wanted to be the next Lea Salonga. I was like, yeah, that's going to be my path in life. But instead I went straight into just music itself. I picked up guitar. I started busking on the street and being a street performer, making some decent coin on the street of Toronto.
Oh my God. And I can see your guitar in the background as well, actually, right behind
Yeah,
you. It was, oh my word.
that is the one. That's got blood, sweat, and tears all over it.
So hang on a second. The question is, and this is a very Irish slash English question, can you play Wonderwall by Oasis on it?
I can, I won't. I can, if forced. If my life depended on it, yeah, I could figure it out.
Hang on. So what were some of your favorite busking songs then? I'm just curious. Obviously, was that Alicia Keys one
Gosh.
on there?
No,
No.
no, I kept that for the karaoke But I did do a lot of acoustic kind of soul R&B covers. I would do Just Friends by
Hmm.
Music Soul Child, a local artist by the name of Justin Nozuka, I'm in Peace. These are great songs. Check them out. What else did I perform? Maybe some John Mayer, Stop This Train, but my
Oh yeah.
version,
Oh,
right?
so like in the
Kind
way that Taylor Swift's version is like Taylor's version, you'd have like John Mayer's song and would say Victoria's version on the. Okay,
Oh,
that makes sense. Yeah.
100%. I would always add my flair to any of my covers, and I would play like 4 hours a day on the street till my fingers bled.
What? 4 hours?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
hang
wanted to
on.
be discovered.
How did you have the confidence to do that? I'd be terrified of doing something like that.
It was scary when I first started, I will tell you. Just
Yeah.
like starting anything new,
Yeah.
terrifying, especially in the public eye. But the first time I did it, I just opened up my guitar case. I dropped it down on the floor on the corner of like Yonge and Bloor in Toronto, and I just started singing. And after the few first like coins started being thrown at me, I was like, okay, I'm not getting attacked, at least. It could be much worse. So I just kept growing from there. Eventually, I just zoned into the music. I just focused on the songs, even through winter, just playing the songs.
I like the fact that your barometer for successive busking was at least I'm not getting attacked. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
I was when I was working in Cork down here in the south of Ireland years ago. It was Christmas time. I was running to get my bus one late Friday afternoon. It was really quiet. It was approaching Christmas, and as I was approaching just a side street, all I could hear was the opening chords of "And Nothing Else Matters" by Metallica, and I was there going, "Oh my
Nice.
God, this is actually the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." I think I gave your man like $10, I think it was, and he was there going, Jesus, do you want change? And I was there, no. I said, this is perfect. This is absolutely spot on. This is magnificent and things like that. So I admire anybody who's willing to do it. So how long did you do that for then, Victoria?
Oh, I did that from the ages of, ooh, right after high school, so 17 till around like 22-ish. I did it for quite some time. Quite some
Oh,
time. Eventually, I started getting invited to play indoors, which was nice. Which was nice.
was that
They started putting me
because
on stage, yeah.
I was about to say, is that because of your musical ability or were they taking pity on you going, Jesus Almighty, look at her, she's freezing outside, we better get her inside?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. I had the Canadian like habit of not wearing proper winter jackets all throughout winter. I would just layer my other seasonal jackets over each other. So eventually I feel like people were just like she's going to freeze to death. Somebody let her in.
Just imagine you with hypothermia trying to string along to a song like.
Oh
Um,
God.
So why did you give up the busking then? Obviously, look, I assume something like that has its own shelf life anyway, but what was the kind of thing that prompted you to kind
Yeah.
of say, do you know what, I've got to actually stop doing this. I need to kind of move forward now at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I started getting bigger gigs, getting different events hiring me to sing for them on stage, and I started being a little bit more involved in the arts community, in the Filipino arts community in Toronto. So I had festivals to play, and I slowly switched from street performer to just performer. I got invited out. I started hosting events as well, and I kind of left behind the busking gig once the let me be real with you. They started cracking down on me because I was making too much money on the
What?
street via change and small bills. Yeah, they have some people called the TTC officers.
Yeah,
So they're the ones in charge of making sure that you pay your fare on your commutes
yeah.
in the subway and on the buses and on the streetcars. But their other job is to make sure that street performers are licensed and not using specific gear. So amplifiers, which I have somewhere in the back over there, that I was using that was technically not allowed. So I did get a little bit of trouble, and then I
I
kind of stopped.
I thought you were about to say that like you were being kind of harassed by like the other buskers around who decided that they were sick of
Oh,
your
that too.
or
That too, for sure. I've had some face-offs with different buskers. We'll be standing on the opposite corners, being like, "I got here first," like I'm almost done. Just let me sing this one more song. Like, yeah, it was quite competitive. I mean, Toronto, I don't know what's the deal with the buskers, but I gave it up. Like,
Oh
you
my.
have the corner.
So wait a second, would you still see the same buskers kind of knocking around doing the same kind of streets as they used to, or no, they're all gone?
No, no, times have changed. Times have changed. It's one of the sadder things when I do go down to the city. I see that the buskers that I usually look for are no longer around, or they're much more chaotic performances now. I feel like it's less music. It's more just
Uh,
like a man in a Spider-Man costume screaming at you, or a man with a Santa Claus hat screaming at you. Just different things. Different era that we're in
so
now.
So what you're saying is the common denominator is somebody screaming at people passing by. Okay, yeah. So there's no kind of finesse
Yeah.
to it or anything like that at
Yeah.
all. Okay. So just in terms of then, in terms of your ability, then in terms of your music, in terms of your voice and things like that, were you taking lessons, or was it just kind of natural ability that you'd have from your family?
I started training with my father. My father did the majority of my training growing up, and by training we mean he would make me run the same song on karaoke at different pitches, moving up over and over again for hours.
Hmm.
Also screaming at me, but in a loving way. He would train me for the majority of my early life, and then I did a few lessons at like a conservatory. Didn't really fit my vibe. Um,
Hang on a
I'm
second.
one of those people.
Did it not fit your vibe because they weren't screaming at you or something like that? Because that seems to be a
Yeah, it
common
wasn't harsh
denominator.
enough. They weren't pushing me enough. No, it was just one of those things where I felt like I got what I could out of those lessons, and the rest of it would just be repetition,
Okay.
muscle memory. Yeah.
And say, look, obviously, they always say like don't get lessons off your parents. Like both my parents were teachers, and like I tried to get driving lessons off my father, and it was like the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of the planet. How did you find your relationship with your dad when he was trying to teach you kind of how to sing? Were you kind of there going, "Stuff you, old man, I don't need your advice" or anything like that, or did you actually take it on board?
No, you know how as children when our parents help us with math problems and it's just really not sinking in for you as a child. So you just start crying while trying to do math equations. It would feel like that sometimes. But he was a wonderful teacher. He would consistently tell me, use your real voice. Use your real voice. And I'd be like, what is that? I thought I was. It's coming out of my throat. And he meant, no, the voice that you use to yell at your brother, that's the one. That's the one. That's the one. And I finally get it now as an adult. I finally get all of his tips and tricks. And I still have a wonderful relationship with my father. So
I
it didn't
was
ruin anything.
I was about to say it like that. So, like, the buskers screamed at you, Santa Claus and Spider Man screamed at you, your dad was screaming at you, and your dad's advice to you was to scream when you're actually singing a song as well, because that's the voice of screaming at your
Not
brothers as well.
scream, but like,
I know.
project. Like, project. And that's what I feel now whenever anybody screams at me. I'm like, what wonderful projection.
So, in terms of now, at this point, you're fully into the music thing and things like that. Where do you see yourself going with it at this point?
Oh, I think one of my dreams is to live on a bus and tour with a band. I'm in a band right now, and we practice every weekend, every Saturday for like 3 hours, and then we spend the whole day together. It's a lot of fun. We're called Sans Serif, Sanserif, Sans Serif, and we're working on like a few new tracks. It's my first time with them.
Wait a
Is there a
second.
different band named Sans Serif?
No, no, hang on a second. Sans serif is a font in Microsoft Word, isn't it?
It is. It is. No
Okay, who?
tail. That's what that means. No tail.
So who came up with the name? I'm just curious because the second you said sans serif, I was there going, wait a second, I've seen that before
Not
written down.
me. It was definitely our guitarist, I believe Jonathan, came up with that name. It was like a pre-existing band with two brothers and other members, and they had auditioned me recently at the beginning of this year to be their singer. So it's new for me.
Oh my word, that's cool. So what kind of music do you play?
They do a lot of math rock, prog rock, but now that I've entered the band, we're kind of doing more genre bending, kind of playing with
Okay,
some
now
more like R&B. Like
now again, right? I'm 41 years old, right? So unless it's a power ballad, I don't understand any of it. What in the name of God did you just say in terms of your music style? Because I was there going, I have no idea what you just said there a second ago. I'm there going, I am curious as hell about what kind of music you play.
See, Mike is the musical one, so Mike
Yes.
might know. Progressive rock, math rock, some alternative rock in there, playing with the time signatures. It's very complex instrumentally, but still has its roots in some rock music. You know, we do some pop punk variations sometimes, and I don't know. We span the gambit, so it's like a lot of
And
things.
and is it all like original music or is it covers or how it is it is it interesting?
Yeah, all originals. Yeah.
And is the band up on Spotify, is it?
There are a few tracks up there with their older singer. I hope to re-record those and re-release them, but if you want to check them out, they are up there.
Ah, so even though I was joking earlier on, what you're saying is you're going to re-record the songs as Victoria's version in brackets after the name of it. Is that right?
That's right. That is right. I'm totally
I'm
pulling that.
And in terms of then say, like, look, obviously there's all the music and things like that, but how did the acting come into it then? Because obviously, like, you've been in Why the Last Man, you've been in The Handmaid's Tale, you've been like obviously in Pacific Rim years ago. I keep saying that
Mhm.
because it just reminds me how old I am, and I'm just curious, like, where did the deviation into acting come in then, into it then?
Yeah, I mean, I did mention that I was in like an arts and culture program at the Filipino Center for Arts and Culture called Kapisanan, and they had this program where they were kind of doing an immersive cultural experience where I could learn about my background and learn about the Philippines and Filipino history and Filipino artists. And one of my mentors there, Christina Gison, she noticed how much I liked being on camera and was like, "Hey, do you want to maybe do some background extra work just to pick up some money?" Because it was cold and my hands were hurting from busking on the streets of Toronto in the snow. So again, somebody took pity on me and brought me in, and it was actually for Pacific Rim. So
Yeah.
that was the very first gig, and I brought my guitar because I thought that's what artists should look like at all times, carrying an instrument. I brought my guitar onto set. There were like 500 Asian extras being like, "Who's this chick with a guitar?" Um, they put me in like pigtails and like a cute little outfit, and I started my acting career as an extra. And luckily, out of nowhere, my scene was with Charlie Day.
Mhm.
I did not know Charlie Day at the time. I just thought he was a random man that was yelling at me again.
There's a
So
kind of
I
yeah,
was like, I'm ready.
yeah.
I'm ready for this. I can fight back. I yelled right back, is what I did. I yelled right back at Charlie Day, and all of a sudden I heard cut, and cameras and iPad people were swirling around me taking photos of everything, and I was convinced I was about to be fired for interrupting the scene. And wouldn't you know it, Guillermo del Toro came out from behind the crowd at Video Village and was like, "That was hilarious. Let's do it again. Also, are you busy next month? We have another role that hasn't been cast. Are you interested? Are you available?" And I said, "Absolutely. Absolutely." So it kind of grew from there. I got my actor apprenticeship from that one gig, and it just kept rolling afterwards.
So wait a second. What, like, obviously you were shouting at Charlie Day in the context of the movie, not just randomly out of nowhere. I'm just going to roar Charlie Day
Yeah.
here on set.
No, it had context, I promise. I was told to play a chicken vendor. So they put like a big straw hat on me and they placed me next to a cage with a live chicken inside. And they said, "Sell that chicken." And I was selling that chicken. And, Charlie Day came up and was like flashing a light into my chicken's eyes. I got real defensive and I said, "No, this is not KFC. Get out of here." And I believe that's what did it. That's what did it. That entire production, everybody called me Chicken Girl for a very long time. That's my
What was
start.
What was the next project you work on with Guillermo del Toro then after that?
Oh, I haven't been able to work with him since. I know. He started it, didn't end it.
Oh
Um, I want to
no.
though.
Yeah.
I did run into him years later at IKEA with his daughter. And I ran up to him and I was like, Guillermo, you're the reason I'm acting. You gave me my first role. He was just staring at me like I was absolutely bonkers. And I said, no, it's me, chicken girl.
Oh
Um,
no.
it went it went really, really well. Never worked with them since.
I wonder why the invite hasn't come in from Guillermo del Toro at any point. Did he have a look of panic in his eyes when you were shouting that you were chicken girl at him in the middle of IKEA by any chance?
Yeah, I think he was just trying to enjoy his meatballs. No, he's actually very sweet. He did remember me and everything, and he said he was very glad that I was still acting. And me and his daughter were bonding over vintage clothes. I believe I would consider them Toronto locals at this point.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah, yeah. They're in the city often.
so what you're saying is restraining order is not going to be in the post anytime soon towards you from him.
Fingers crossed. No, I don't think he was too disturbed. I think he's so used to it at this point. He's just so kind. He'll talk to anybody.
And in terms of then say you're like you've done this, you've done Pacific Rim now. Do you have the acting bug? Has it bitten you at this point? Are you kind of there going, forget the music, I want to do the acting now?
I mean, it wasn't immediately like forget the music, but the acting bug did immediately bite me as soon as I got on set. It just happened to be like a really intensely large and sci-fi based set. So there was
Hmm.
like glow in the dark goop everywhere and like rain machines and like things were falling from the sky and we were supposed to scream about aliens. It was so much fun. So much fun. It had me hooked immediately.
And what was the next job you had after that then?
I believe I did an indie film immediately after called Beat. And I
Hmm.
played a shy queer illustrator that had a heart condition where whenever I saw the girl that I liked, my heart would literally beat out of my chest and start glowing. So
Oh.
there's a lot of cool VFX. It's probably somewhere online if anybody would like to go watch it. Beat. Yeah, that's probably the first gig after Pacific Rim.
Now, in terms of say your own motivation, how you view yourself, would you be somebody who would kind of say, I'm going to, you'll be balanced in my approach to this? Or at this point, were you saying, that's it, I'm 100% going to get the Oscar at some point because I'm very ambitious and I'm going to completely fly through the ranks and things like that? Or were you just saying, I'm just going to see how this goes. I'm going to pick up whatever work is kind of going. Otherwise, I can always fall back on my busking on the streets of Toronto, freezing my hands off.
Exactly. Exactly. I think the second half, I don't think I immediately thought like actually I might have. I was quite young when I did this gig. I was around 17 years old, so I might have been just completely delusional as I am today. Um I feel like as soon as I got that first gig, to be fair, my parents had given me a year out of high school to prove that art could be a real job,
Oh.
and that I could provide for myself through the arts. So as soon as I did book Pacific Rim and I got the paycheck, I asked them to drive me to go pick up my paycheck, and immediately I showed them. I was like, look, it's real. And then after that, I had full support and full permission from my parents to pursue it. So like I went into like the workshops, I went into the classes, I did the studio training. I took it very seriously, which is why I stopped doing more music. I took acting very seriously. I wasn't trying to get any awards immediately, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to capitalize off of this momentum. The chance of me booking this was very slim. A lot
Hmm.
of people have to audition for years to even get that kind of opportunity. So I wanted to, milk it for all it was worth. Kind of swing from project to project, say yes, and keep going. And I still do
So,
that to this
I,
day.
and just like, in the brief time we've been kind of speaking, I don't think self-expression would be a problem for you. I don't think you standing up in front of people would be a problem for you. I don't think public
No.
speaking would be a problem for you. So, and like with regards, like your parents, like your parents sound like my parents in terms of it's kind of can you make a living out of this? Is this sustainable? Is there security with
Yeah.
this and things like that? So you've obviously had the confidence to do busking on the side of the street and things like that. But with the acting, was there anything that was daunting about it, or did you just take to it and say, I have my skills, I have my ability, I can do this, I have no problem. Like if somebody asked me to do something in front of a group, I can do it straight away, immediately, easily.
I feel like because I got my start already on set, there was such a high kind of adrenaline rush that I forgot everything about being shy. I forgot everything about anyone else around me. I was immediately just focused on what was happening, and it
Mm,
kept me very in the moment. But as soon as I went to classes and I saw how many people wanted this for their, their life dream was to do this, I started getting very conscious. I started getting very self-conscious, very nervous. My first few times on camera in an acting class, I think I was literally shaking and twitching, and my face was uncontrollably twitching. And I to this day hate doing hallmarks because they require such a consistent smile, and my face will start, kind of just wigging out. It's not as easy as people make it look, That's what I learned when I first started studying it. I was like, this requires some real courage to get up there and be seen in vulnerable situations, in your emotions. Luckily, I did have music as a background, so I was able to kind of see it from a perspective of your script is your song,
mm,
your lines are your lyrics.
yeah.
You're trying to get a point across with your words. Once I was able to kind of tap into that, I calmed down a lot more on camera. It became a little bit more second nature to me. I was also raised recording little skits to send to the Philippines, to my
Mm.
family in the Philippines by my father. So there's some pretty embarrassing skits that I've recorded as a child out there.
And like in terms of say when you started doing the acting classes and all that kind of thing and lessons, is there anyone from those classes that has kind of gone on further that would be well known, or is kind of like is there? Oh, there is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. Totally. I did some classes at Armstrong. Should I name drop? Is that what we're doing? Should we name drop? Um, I think most notably would probably be Simu Liu from from Shang-Chi, from Marvel,
Oh
from
yes,
Atlas most recently.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we trained together at Armstrong Studios
Oh
for a
wow,
little bit. Yeah, very
that's
briefly.
yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
briefly.
That's so cool. Oh, that's brilliant.
Very
Oh my
cool.
word.
Very cool. And he's like doing exactly what I want to do. Marvel stuff.
So Marvel would be the dream, yes.
Oh my God. Yes. I've had an obsession with a Filipina hero called Wave for the longest time. I think over 5 years, over 6 years now. My
Yeah.
wall in my bedroom, I have like the framed comic books and such
Oh
for
wow.
Agents of Atlas. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And like, as you were going through your acting journey, what did you think were some of your strengths with regards to being an actor? This sounds like an
Oh,
interview as well. Like this is me saying,
it's
okay,
like a,
please tell us.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is good. I can take a fall. I can take a serious fall. I can take a serious fall. I grew up longboarding, so I was always very physical. My mom hated it. I have scars on my knees that she still bothers me about to this day. But I've always wanted to do action. I
Oh,
throw a decent punch.
yeah.
Yeah, action
So,
stuff I think is one of my.
so hang on. How does one take a decent fall?
You don't stay down for too long, is what it is.
Just straight
That's how
back
you
up,
take
kind
a
of thing.
good
Is oh yeah.
straight back up, dust it off, do it again. And I think that's just transferable skills that I've applied to every single gig I've ever done.
In terms of say, like obviously now you're kind of getting your start. You've done a few things and things like that. Like, how did Why the Last Man and how did The Handmaid's Tale come up for you then?
That's through my wonderful agent that signed me immediately out of Pacific Rim,
Hmm.
believed in me from then on. Uh, yeah, Robin D. Cook. very large casting director in Toronto has consistently put me forward. She was actually also on Pacific Rim, worked on
Right.
Pacific Rim, was one of the first people that I met on set,
Yeah.
and just a lot of auditions, a lot of auditions.
Like like
Yeah.
how do you find the auditions? Because obviously we've obviously spoken to so many different actors over the years on the podcast and all that, and I'm always curious about like auditions seem to be like an absolutely terrifying and daunting kind of thing. Like, do you like? Because I know some people were telling recently they'd be you'd record stuff and you'd send it in
Hmm.
rather than like on TV at times you'd see the situation where somebody walks into a room and there's like 20 people sitting down with a script in hand, all reading for the same part. Like, how does it work nowadays when you're auditioning for something?
Back then, before the pandemic, that was the generic way to audition. So my agent would message me. She had like submitted my break. She submitted me to a breakdown of a character that they were casting. They thought I'd be appropriate, so they would give me a time to come in for
Hmm.
a live audition.
Hmm.
And yes, you would have like rows of people on the side that might look a lot like you or might embody the role that you're going after, and you just sit there in your nervous energy until they call your name, and you go into a room and you do what you practice. They give you maybe some redirects, you follow those. But now, after the pandemic, it is majority self-tape.
Oh,
Majority self-tapes. Yeah. I
which
haven't been in person for a very long time.
which did you prefer, doing the in-person auditions or doing the taped versions?
I liked both. I liked both, and I'm still willing to do both. There are some actors that really don't like doing self tapes because
Hmm.
they don't like having to watch themselves over and over again, or what have you. Yeah, I know we're getting to that question. But I also know of some people who felt a large kind of release of pressure by being able to do them at home
Hmm.
on their own time, take their time with their scripts, and take multiple takes. I I feel like I might prefer self tapes now just because they're a lot more convenient. You're able to schedule them around what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
But there was that fun kind of uh, mental game that goes into the live auditions and seeing all of the other possible candidates for the role. There was definitely like, times to flex your confidence when you walk into a room. Be like, I
Try
got this.
trying to psych other people out with a look in your eye and things like that, saying like you're nowhere near as good as me. I'm the person who's going to walk away with this role, kind of thing.
No, no, never that. In fact, I liked making friends in the audition room because it's like if you don't book that role and the person that you're talking to does,
Hmm.
and you become friends with that person, you're able to learn from that person. You're able to support that person and watch them grow. So I never played any mean mental games in the audition room, though I've had them done to me. I never participated in that. I was one of those people, though, that would sense the tension in the room and try to kind of break the tension and remind everybody that we're here for the same thing
Yeah.
and that we all want, to do well. So encourage each other, keep a positive environment, kind of thing.
So you obviously know what question I'm going to ask next because you've already jumped ahead to it. So I will ask you the Adam Driver question, which is, do you find it hard to watch yourself on TV?
Not at all.
Really?
Not at all. No, no. I am somebody who was raised in the vlogging era of YouTube, and I used to have my own little vlog, so I used to put myself on camera and watch myself back and edit my face for hours on end. That and just, so many other people's effort and work went into that project that you are currently watching on your screen, right? So the editors, the people who did the lighting and the SFX, and there's so much effort that goes into it that I feel like it would be such a waste to not give it its time to shine and not appreciate it for what it is. And that's why I like to watch it through and through. I might stop and rewind and watch myself a little bit more just because I'm full of myself. But, I like to appreciate the work that goes into it, including my own. Be kind
So,
to yourself.
so when you used to vlog, where were those vlogs? Was it Twitch? Was it YouTube? Where were they exactly?
You're trying to expose me right now. They are on YouTube. They are on YouTube. I think I still have a few up. I've archived the majority. But somebody on set of another project actually gave me the worst scare of my life, where he was just like, you know, before our project comes out, you should probably do like a deep clean of your history online. Anything like that, you should clean it up. And I immediately went onto my YouTube channel and started putting everything on private. I was like, oh God. Oh God. I shut down my Facebook fan page, never brought it back up. Never brought it back up. So
So
yeah,
wait a
there might
second.
be
What was in these vlogs that you were so uncomfortable or nervous about?
nothing. I think that's what made me uncomfortable. It was just a whole lot of nothing. It was just me living my day to day and just being like, hey, I'm at the mall again, buying stuff. Like, it's just so nonchalant. And just, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, especially when you see yourself like 5 years later.
Oh
You
yeah.
watch it back and you're just like, why am I speaking in that octave? What is going on? I feel like I should have already gone through puberty at that point. So that's an active choice now.
I'm reminded of something I said to Sarah Mittich when we spoke to her last week, is that I saw a meme or whatever it was, and it said the person in this world that I have the least in common with is the version of me who wrote my Facebook updates 10 years ago, and I'm there,
That's
yes,
so true.
100%. Yeah.
Oh, that's so true. Facebook with the like memories and the like they'll tell you about it again. Like they just won't let you forget that like maybe you grew up. I don't know. So embarrassing.
Oh, I
I'm
go
turning
through.
I'm getting warm just thinking about it.
I, I go through the memories every day, and if there's stuff there that's not good, I just delete it because I'm there going, "There's no. This needs to go." Some things I do leave because I'm there going, "Do you know what? I did write it. I can't get away from that fact, so I'm just going to leave it there because future generations might look back and say, 'Hey, what was that guy writing in 2011?' And then reading it, going, 'Oh God, we've wasted our time trying to research this individual and his absolute nonsensical stuff that he's put up." Um,
I
so
love
as you,
that.
so, in terms of say, like Why the Last Man and The Handmaid's Tale, they both have quite a good following. In terms of say, how did you find your interactions with the kind of fans on that and things like that? And I'm not going to lie to you, I was having a stalk through your Twitter profile earlier on, which isn't the most active of things, and I was kind of
See, that's that
scrolling.
deep clean.
Yes, exactly. I was
That's
very
that
not.
deep clean, just
Yeah,
gone.
not deep cleaned enough because I was going through a lot of it going, oh wow, this is interesting stuff here that's being tweeted. So I was kind of there going, interesting. No, it wasn't bad. I was just there going,
What did I
it's
say?
oh, I think I'd say your Twitter page will be gone before the day is out. Like it'll mysteriously disappear. If anyone's looking for it tomorrow, it won't exist. No, it was like in fairness, you were interacting with fans. You were talking about being excited about new episodes coming up and things like that.
Right.
So it's all good, Victoria.
We
It's
were
all
doing we were doing live tweeting for
yes,
Why the Last Man. That's what we were
yes.
doing on there. I actually did not have one. I had like shut down my Twitter and the production asked us to open them up again to do live tweeting.
And how did you find the interactions with the fans?
They were, pretty quiet from my experience. Pretty quiet. I mean, they were all very supportive. Anybody who did reach out was very supportive. I think Why the Last Man got such a raw deal getting canceled within the first season. I thought it was such a loss. It could have grown into something really beautiful, and so did the fans. So I
Hmm.
feel like we all bonded over that. And we were all just like kind of waiting that one day maybe it will get picked up again. One day. So
But
just
but you know yourself, nothing is ever really kind of cancelled anymore because there's always a possibility
right.
of revivals and things like that as well. How was your experience working on The Handmaid's Tale as well? I'm curious about that because like that is a tough show to kind of like, the story
Right.
behind it and all that kind of thing. I'm just curious how you kind of like what was your experience like on it?
It was one of the most educational experiences I've had just because watching Elizabeth work, not just in front of the screen as the main leading role, but she also directed a few of the episodes I was in. So I was
Hmm.
watching her kind of go back and forth from in front of the camera to behind the camera. And she was very interactive as a director for actors. She knew exactly the way that we wanted to work and let us play with it a lot. She's so lovely. She's such a kind woman. Um, and the people that were on that show were all aware that it was such heavy, dark content at times that as soon as we called cut, it became very light and jovial, and people made a lot more jokes and tried to lighten the mood more often to kind of contrast the content that we had to go through. Uh, it was a great kind of learning experience on how to manage my energy as a performer and really ground myself in serious scenes. She was very good at kind of pushing her actors to give their best performance. So I had a wonderful time. That
And
and
like,
we like killed a man together. So we're permanently bonded, I hope.
and having watched her do all that, like, multitasking, because, like, again,
Mhm.
it's not just being an actor and, say, being a director, like, there's so much kind of more involved with it, especially from a point of view of production, in terms of getting, being empathetic towards people and kind of what they're doing, what they're going through. Would you look at her and kind of say to yourself, do you know what? I can do music. I know I'm really good at it. I'm good at my acting. Did something awaken in you kind of saying to yourself, do you know what? I wouldn't mind giving a go behind the camera as well at some point and actually trying to direct something?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Seeing how she was able to connect with her actors, being an actor herself, I just feel like it's such a great basis of human connection to make a project really shine. I definitely became interested in being behind the camera for some stuff afterwards. I've dabbled in some ghost production and ghost directing on my partner's project, Patrick de Belen. He's really wonderful storyteller and filmmaker. So I kind of, I'll stand behind the camera once in a while. I'll talk to the actors off to the side and I'll be like, I'm going to do this one day for real. I will actually produce, direct something one day.
Oh, brilliant! Like, it's great when you kind of you look at different things and you're willing to try something completely different. Wait a second, when you were saying ghost productions, do you mean like actually like paranormal kind of stuff?
Oh, no. Well, technically, I have been in some ghost related projects with a wonderful director and writer named Robin Careless.
Hmm.
We've done, I think, two, no, now three indie films together, including David. David's been a part of those. That's
Hmm.
actually how I've bonded with David, is not through Star Trek, but through our own indie kind of adventures.
Yeah.
But for my own production, no ghost related stuff just yet.
Ah, now that's completely unacceptable. So Victoria, so in terms of Star Trek, how, like, were you a fan of Star Trek growing up?
Yeah, yeah, actually, my father's a huge Trekkie. So he raised me on Voyager and TNG. I did watch growing up, probably more than my siblings did. I just found it more interesting than they found it. That and I just loved spending time with my dad whenever he had time off from work to just sit there and watch sci-fi was such a great way to bond. Yeah, I did grow up watching Star Trek.
What were some of your favorite episodes?
Ooh, favorite episodes is actually not from TNG or Voyager. I did randomly catch a rerun when I was younger of it was who was it? William Shatner. It was William Shatner's version, and he had like a planet of empaths that he had visited. Like they could feel your emotions.
Hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about? It was, I think, The Empath or something like that was the name of the
That's the
episode.
name. That's the episode I was thinking of straight away. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. That one kind of just it was very alluring to me. I thought the costumes were pretty and I wanted to have psychic abilities. So,
cheapers, I don't think I've ever heard anyone put the empath at the top of a list of Star Trek episodes that they've kind of watched. But there you go. That's the importance of Star Trek. It kind of crosses many divides and things like that. And
yeah.
I think the interesting thing as well is, like, what's great is, like, your dad, because of his life experience, because of his age and things like that, he would have had a different perspective of the episodes to say you, because with Star Trek, it's very much as you get older, you actually appreciate more in the episodes because you have a bit more of a frame of reference and things like that. Like, so it's kind of, it's cool knowing that your dad kind of appreciated as much as kind of you did. How did the role on Discovery come up then for you?
I had auditioned for multiple Star Trek series, including the shorts, for many, many years. So I've done over, believe, 8+ auditions and self tapes for multiple series. Some of them I'm like still heartbroken over because I think it would have been so cool to be a Vulcan. Yeah, no, I auditioned for like, I don't know if this is like secret information, but this is why we have a podcast for secret
Yes.
information to
Yeah.
get leaked all the time. All the producers are looking at me like liability.
She's gone. Never again employ this woman under any circumstances. Also, I won't lie, Victoria, when you actually came on the call first and the way your hair is framing your ear, I was convinced you had pointed ears. And I was there going,
Oh my God, really?
are those Vulcan ears that she has? Because I
I
was there going,
wish. I wish, but no, I've been waiting to bring this up the entire time. I've never seen anybody on any of the other episodes of the podcast do something like this. Speaking of ears, I might keep this. Maybe one day I'll sell it. I don't know. But this is Callum's ear. This is Rayner's ear.
oh
His
my
ear
God.
prosthetic.
Did you,
I
did
asked
you,
him for it.
I was about to say, did you steal it off him or how did you get into possession
No,
of it?
I didn't just like rip it off or anything. He was mid rip. And I was like, oh, that's so satisfying to watch. What do you do with them when you're done? Do you have to give them back? And he said, no, they put a new one on me every time. And I said, oh, wonderful. Can I keep your ear? And Callum, being the great guy that he is, said yes. So that's his prosthetic pointy ear.
Okay, hang on a second, Victoria, right? If you want to be a Vulcan, I need you to do something then on camera. This is like an audition, right?
Oh God. Okay.
It's gonna be one of two things. You have to do one at the end of the episode anyway, as you probably know. But the other one is how good of an eyebrow raise have you?
Oh, you can't really see.
I oh
Pretty good. On the one side, I can't do the other. Don't do the other at all. The other one doesn't move. It just becomes like a whole brow situation. But yes, the one, quite strong, actually.
like it. I like it. I could definitely see being a Vulcan, all right. Like I said, in the vein of
Thank you.
to pring and things like that, 100%. Yes, I'm actually in
Yes.
board. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
So
I've auditioned, I think, 3 times for Vulcan roles.
did you tell your dad that you were auditioning all the time, or did you say, I'm not going to say anything unless I get a role and I can surprise him?
Yeah, I had tried to keep it secret from my father just because I don't want him to be disappointed in me.
Oh,
I really wanted to make him proud. So every time I would get a Star Trek role, I mean Star Trek audition, I would wait to see how far I get into the audition before I tell my dad, I didn't get the one that you wanted. But to this day, they still think I'd make a terrible Vulcan because I'm way too emotional.
so in
It's good to have
terms
the
of,
belief of your parents.
so when you actually got the role, what was your dad's reaction when you told him?
I had waited. I had waited to tell him until I had been on set already. Yeah, no, I waited. I waited pretty late into the process of filming to tell him. And I was going on set to everybody. I was like, do you think I could tell my father without getting in trouble? Just like the sincere fear. I'm like, I don't want to lose the opportunity before I get to tell him. So I waited pretty late into, like, I had been fitted for my costume already. And then I had gotten a few little trinkets. They remind me of Pogs. I don't know. Aging the
Oh
podcast.
my God.
Aging the
Oh my
podcast.
seat. Like, I remember Pogs. I had Pogs, but like nobody is going to know what a Pog is, Victoria. You've done it.
That's right.
This is worse than Orville, like, and I didn't think anyone could be worse than Orville in this kind of
I'm
situation.
so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yes, I got him a few pieces of memorabilia from the wardrobe staff. They were very, very kind to me in providing some cool little trinkets I could give to my father. I went out, I bought him a shirt with William Shatner on it and Leonard Nimoy on it, and then I gave him a little package, and then I told him, surprise, I'm on your favorite show. And he
Oh
was very,
my
very happy.
God, that is so cool. What trinkets did the wardrobe department give you for your dad?
Just like little memorabilia that said like USS Discovery or what have you. They were just like little metallic
Hmm.
round things. I don't think they were ever used on wardrobe or anything. I think they just kind of had them lying around from previous seasons. And I said, yes, I'll take that. But no, I didn't get the actual
Tom badge.
little, yeah, the badge. I didn't get the badge.
Victoria, I need to interrupt this podcast for a second because it's if that's a dog running around, I need to see the dog on the camera as soon as possible because I can hear
Come
the
here.
little.
Come. Can you pass me the dog? Can you bring Jordy here? His name is Jordy. I know what you're thinking. It's not that Jordy. It's spelled differently, but also
No.
still, he's named after. Come here. Give me 1 second. I'll go get him.
So, audience, this is what happens when you have a live podcast. You have the situation where the dog doesn't want to play ball in the situation. Oh my God! Look at the dog.
This is. I don't have any more treats. Say hi. Say hi.
Hi, Jordy.
This is Jordy. We'll get him a little visor for Halloween. Right?
Oh,
Good boy. Good boy. Do you want to leave now or are you going to stay here? You can stay here.
that is my night made now at this point. What was it like walking onto the bridge for the first time then? Because obviously, like, you know, we've all seen, say, you know, the Enterprise D bridge over the years, and you suddenly realize, oh my God, like there was nothing turned on, like wasn't really real at all. But like we've spoken to people who've worked in Discovery, like it was real. It was very interactive and things
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah. No, the first time I walked on to the bridge, it was, I believe, a tour. They were giving a few of the newer cast members a tour. And as soon as I saw the bridge, I was speechless. Immediately started running around like I was at like a museum, like a child, you know. And I would read things on the walls, and I'd be like, "What does that mean? What does this do?" And I was like touching everything. The station that I get to be at has this moving screen that slides here and there. So immediately I was enthralled with that, all the tiny little buttons.
Oh,
Very fun.
wow. Oh, that's
Very
so
fun.
cool. And does it feel immersive on the bridge, or do you feel like you're on a set, or do you kind of just really lose yourself and go, my God, I'm on the bridge of a Federation starship?
Oh, absolutely immersive. I don't know if other people, I believe other people have talked about the fire, the explosions, what they call, now I know, dragon farts, right? The dragon farts, they're real and you can feel them. They are hot and I have hairspray. Terrifying. Terrifying. They're also quite loud, right? So you have things like falling from the roof of the ship, and they're all practical. They're all doing this in real time. So it was a very immersive experience.
And what was the atmosphere? What was the vibe like on the set? Like we've always heard extremely positive things about it. So I'm hoping now you will say the same and suddenly go, actually, no, that was all lies. Everyone else has been completely lying to you. It was absolutely terrible set,
No,
and I couldn't wait to get off it.
no. No one's lying. Everybody's telling the truth. It's a really wonderful team behind the show, and it's very obvious that they consider each other family members. The way that they will appreciate each other at the beginning of a set and do the, I believe, 15 claps, was it, that Sonequa would lead, and there was an appreciation for one crew member every day at the start of our filming. And they would
Ah.
receive like a tiny little keychain, and they would pass this like little furry keychain around, and we would clap for each person every morning. And between takes, very, very chill cast, very funny cast. This is a very humorous cast. So lots of joking around, as you can see from Orville's BTS footage. Lots of playing like children, you know?
I love Orville's behind the scenes video because it just looks like it's kind of it's really kind of great fun. And again, you know, it kind of goes back to like everyone, you know, the reports have always been that the Next Generation set was always kind of the most fun, most engaging, everyone's connected. So I'm delighted to hear that of the new Star Trek shows that Discovery has that as well, and it's so kind of positive. And like, is it the best set you've worked on then, Victoria?
Yeah, in terms of like onset and offset, this was probably the only production I've been on where Sonequa would invite us out for like group bonding, cast bonding on the weekends and such, and we would watch movies together and play board games together. We played Mafia. Tig Notaro was in the room. It was fabulous. It was really a wonderful experience. That's the only production I've been on that's run that tight of a ship
And
in
say,
terms of closeness.
who would have been the kind of main people you would have kind of, connected with while you were there?
Well, I walked on to set with Christina Dixon, who plays Asha,
Yeah.
and immediately we were like, "Oh, we're new, we're new. We love Trek. This is cool." But Orville, I actually had worked with Orville in a non-set experience. I don't know. Sorry, Orville, if this is exposing you. We worked together at an interactive, immersive escape room together
Oh,
at Casa Loma.
wow. Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So it was very cool to see him on set and see him do his stuff, killing it always. Yeah.
Look, after Orville humiliated me and Mike for being old the last time, I've no issue with you getting him back in some kind of shape or form or something like that. If you're looking back on your season with Star Trek, what was your kind of favorite moment, both on screen and off screen, then in the time you were there?
On screen, I wouldn't even count any of the scenes that I'm in. Because if we're talking about like my favorite of the season, it was the last episode
Yeah.
where we got a different version of Action Saru. We got scolding Saru, right? Like we got him in a very kind of like intense, intimate. Sorry, let Jordy escape. He was very intense and intimidating, and I got chills all over my body from Doug's performance in that last episode. So that was probably my favorite on screen. Off screen, well, there's a lot. There's a lot of good moments. I'm gonna pick like a very, very like low key moment is when we would play headbands.
Sorry,
Headbands,
what?
have you ever played headbands?
No.
Have you never played that? Oh,
No.
okay. So it's a game where a person will hold their phone facing the audience, facing the other cast members, and there will be a word. And we have to help them guess this word without saying it or saying any of the related words underneath.
Yeah.
That was just so wholesome. Such sweet bonding moments, you know?
Oh, that sounds absolutely lovely. And what was kind of like when you filmed the last scene of, say, that you all came back to film and things like that? What was what was it like on the set being around for that, saying goodbye to a show that's been there for 5 years? Sorry, 5 seasons, 7 years.
Yeah,
Because it was a
7
bit
years.
it was a bit of a sudden end to an era of Star Trek.
Yes, very sudden. I don't think any of us truly knew what the future held, but there was an energy of, oh, look, all of these people from like previous seasons are back for this one scene. My last scene that I filmed was the wedding scene. So I was able to see kind of a reunion happen with many different characters. And I don't think it even was intentional that it felt like a closing, the ending of an era. But to see these people who have become family through the show see each other again on set, on screen, it was like a fan. I felt like a fan being able to watch them kind of, hug it out, tie a nice little bow on this season. And I thought it was just for the season, to be honest. So it wasn't as heartbreaking as I would find out that it was after the fact. But to see it happen you could really see the bonds that the people had built over the years. It's always wonderful to see that.
And in terms of, say, the future then, with regards to Star Trek, especially with, say, Starfleet Academy coming and things like that, if you had a chance to, look, we know the answer is going to be yes, especially from a Vulcan point of view, but if you had a chance to go back, yes, it's 100% yes.
That's my answer. Guns blazing, 100%.
So,
100% yes.
So what you're saying is we need to start a campaign to get you in Starfleet Academy, but as a Vulcan in some shape or form, yes?
I'm not even set on just a Vulcan. I feel like one of the hardest parts about any of the alien prosthetics when their faces are hidden is probably the contacts, the contact lenses. I've heard, many a story of how difficult it is to wear contacts, but I grew up wearing uncomfortable contacts. I'm wearing some right now. So I would love to go in and play like an alien because my face has been seen. So I feel like that's the only way for me to be back in there. Unless Naya has like some sort of side adventure, which I'm also down for.
And in terms of then the future, then for you, Victoria, obviously you're in your band. I was going to call it default sans serif because that's what I'm used to seeing on Word, but it's sans
That's fine,
serif.
yeah.
um,
Yeah.
like, are you putting the acting on pause for the time being and focusing on the music, or where do you see yourself going at the moment?
Right now, I don't have a project to be working on in terms of acting, so I'm able to do music, which is always why I keep doing music. It's always going to be there as a comfort, as a safety blanket for me. But I do have a project that I'm not allowed to speak about dropping some point this summer. So
Oh,
I'm also just anticipating the drop of another project.
oh,
Um,
fantastic.
and
Very
auditioning.
exciting. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Still auditioning, but also just letting summer be summer.
Victoria, thank you so much for coming on our show today. I have one question left for you, and since you're a fan of the show, you know exactly what the question is going to be. Victoria
Yeah.
Sawal, what does Star Trek mean to you?
I've watched the show. I've had this answer prepped. It's collective liberation. It is, universal love and endless possibilities.
Spot on. That is brilliant. Victoria, thank you so much for being our guest this week. To our audience, thank you very much for tuning in, be it on audio or on video. We'll be back with a new episode of The War Room next week. Until then, I've been your host, Shore Hurley, as our this week's guest, Victoria Sawal. We will leave you with live long and prosper.